broadcast network, AfterBuzz TV. Over 20 million weekly downloads in over 150 countries, and your number one source for after-show entertainment. AfterBuzz TV, the destination for TV superfans, producing aftershows for over 300 of your favorite TV shows, interviewing celebrities and showrunners, and bringing you behind-the-scenes exclusives. All thanks to E! Entertainment's Maria Menounos, producer Kevin Undergaro, and internet leader Akamai. Now, let the buzz begin!
Hey guys, welcome into another Dodgers Wrap 360 right here on AfterBuzz TV and AfterBuzzTV.com. Going on a special edition, I guess, on this Tuesday evening. We're live streaming about 7 p.m. on Tuesday, September 1. The Dodgers are playing right now against the Giants, so we'll talk about that a little bit. Missed out on Sunday, so we're making up for it today. I'm your host, Bobby DeMuro, joined today by Emily Crodel in the studio. Emily, hello.
Hello.
A lot to talk about today with you. You're a Cardinals fan, just for the record.
Yes.
Not that that's going to impact her commentary at all here today. And a lot to talk about for you guys at home. So we're live streaming, like I said. If you want to, you can tweet us. She is at Emily Crodel. I am at Bobby DeMuro. You guys can send us tweets right now. If you're seeing this during the week, you can send us tweets then. You can comment on YouTube. We check the YouTube comments and everything. If you've got questions for next week. A couple notes before we get started, and then we'll talk tons of Dodgers. Next Sunday, the show's up in the air because it's Labor Day. Big baseball game. It's also a big LA day to leave LA for those of us here in town. And a lot of us are going to be gone. So we might not have a show next Sunday. We will be back the Sunday following. We'll keep you guys posted if you follow us on Twitter. We'll figure that whole thing out.
Next Sunday here will look like the Pirates Stadium.
What do you mean?
No one ever in it.
Ooh, not true this last couple of years. The Pirates sell out. The couple other things for you guys. We were talking today about the Reds series, the Cubs series, and the Monday night 14-inning game against the Giants. So we're going to do a little bit more than a week. Let's start with the Reds. Way back when, seems like forever ago, it was about 7 days ago. Dodgers go 3-0 against the Reds, 3 in Cincinnati at Great America, and they win all 3. Can't hate it. Obviously, you got to love it. This, to me, Emily, is a case of a good team beating a bad team, and they should, and these are the wins they need to have, and they get them, and that's great, and let's move on.
Right, exactly. They're unlike the Rams. I'm also a Rams fan, and we just always beat the teams who are amazing. Like, we'll beat the Patriots and everything, and then we get to the sucky teams, and then we match their level. But I feel like the Dodgers they're like, we're on point, and we're not going to play to the level of the people that we're playing. We're going to do our best. And
that's good now. It hasn't happened for them with every club this year. They struggled a little bit with Colorado, but they've done
It's a good time to start doing that, though.
They need it. They need every one of these. They did it with Cincinnati. They did it with Arizona this year. They're going to see Arizona a little bit coming up. Right. Those 3 Cincinnati games, there's a couple things I think that stand out for me. Yeah. The bullpen did really well. Bullpen had a couple really good games in that Cincinnati one. After, you missed this last couple weeks, we have been blowing up the bullpen. And we should. Jim Johnson's unconscionable why they keep running him out there. He did pretty well this week. Cincinnati, I know they're not the greatest team, but the Dodgers bullpen did well. Starters did well enough. Alex Wood had a great game on Tuesday, I guess it were. Yeah. You got to beat the teams. You got to sweep teams like that. They go on the road. They get 3 wins where they haven't been good on the road. I like that. That's a good start to the week.
And especially, you start the game awesome. You need to bring in someone who's going to finish it awesome. And it's not going to be like, a Rosenthal game where it's all over the place. It's like, let's get 3 up, 3 down,
Kenley Jansen got a couple of saves in that, or excuse me, 1 save. Jim Johnson got the other one in that series. Game of note, I think, is Thursday. Zach Greinke, 7 innings, 9 strikeouts, 4 hits, no runs. This is the second time he's now beat Anthony DeSclafani for the Reds. They beat him 1-0. Anthony DeSclafani is a great pitcher. That's the kind of pitcher.
And
he's young. That's the thing. Yeah. And he's really young, and that's the kind of pitcher the Dodgers need to beat because those are the kind of talents they're going to see in the playoffs.
And that's, Zach Greinke's already, risen to the level of how he's so young too, and so he's already above that. But to match a pitcher that's just the same, around the same age and still has an awesome, youthful quality, ready to go. It's awesome to meet him. I actually drove Zach Greinke when I was Ubering, and it was awesome because I was like, oh, you don't have to work today. And he's like, because he was wearing like shorts and a t-shirt, and he's like, oh no, we just get really pretty sweet work attire. And I was like, oh, where do you work? He's like, a big building coming up. And then we pull up to the Dodger Stadium, and it's like, oh snap, you're on the team.
Zach Greinke.
Awesome.
Greinke is 31, so his best days are not behind him though.
Yeah.
But he's coming up on an opt-out. I think he's probably going to opt out of his contract. It's a great year. Going to be a free agent. The Dodgers probably going to get first crack at signing him. I think he comes back.
Yeah,
but he's going to command quite a bit of money.
Yeah.
Let's talk about this Cubs series. I think this is the more interesting one. The Cubs are a playoff team. It looks like they're going to win a wild card. They're definitely a playoff team. They're almost 30 over 500. Looks like they're going to win a wild card. These games, to me, in this Cubs series, I think if you had to take one piece, one idea of it, is playoff series, and the Dodgers won playoff baseball. Friday and Saturday night. Sunday's a no-hitter. That's another thing. We'll talk about that in a minute. But Friday and Saturday night. Friday night's game stands out. Dodgers win 4-1. Kershaw goes 8, strikes out 14. That's a kind of start he's going to need to do in the playoffs. And then you got the Dodgers getting 4 runs, only on 6 hits, score a run on a wild pitch, score a run on a double play. Those are the kind of things that you have to do to win playoff games. You're not going to mash. You're not going to hit home runs.
No. Well, you hope to hit home runs, but in those situations, especially, like, you just have to take control where you are. And, it's in the little, it's not in like the huge acts. It's like in the little keeping up with your, the core of like what a team is, pretty much.
And that's, you got to win ugly sometimes. I think getting a run on a wild pitch, getting a run on a ground ball double play. This is what you do behind Kershaw. This team's built to hit home runs. Those home runs will not come sometimes. Jason Hamill's a pretty good pitcher Friday night. You're not going to hit home runs off a guy like that. John Lester's a pretty good pitcher Saturday night. You're not going to hit home runs off a guy like that. Now, they got to Lester late on Saturday. They finally wore him down and got to him in the 7th, and that'll happen.
Right.
But Saturday's case, to me, Saturday's game was even more interesting because Matt Lato starts, goes 4 2/3, doesn't pitch very well, doesn't pitch terribly, but doesn't pitch very well. You got to have somebody better than that. And then the bullpen comes up, 4 1/3 inning, no runs, 2 hits, 2 walks, 6 strikeouts from the bullpen.
That's huge.
Literally a game saver. JP Howell got the win in relief. Literally a game saver for the bullpen. You need that game, especially in light of what happened Sunday. I think Saturday, of the 3, to me, Saturday is the most important game of that series.
Yeah, definitely. And especially like you were saying, like capitalizing on the errors of the other team, that's huge. Like, that's what wins games always,
And win ugly, and you have to win ugly.
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk no-hitter. This is the second in 9 days that the Dodgers have been no-hit. Of course, Mike Fiers in Houston did it last week, and then Jake Arrieta does it today. Stat for you, Emily: 2 teams since 1900 have made the playoffs while also suffering multiple no-hitters. The 1917 White Sox and the 2010 Rays.
Wow.
Dodgers are going to make the playoffs.
2 no-hitters and...
Who suffered multiple? Suffered multiple no-hitters. Now, there's a couple things going on. Is that weird? Let me ask you though. What gives about 2 no-hitters in 9 days? Are you worried about it, or is it just one of those weird things?
I kind of think it's a weird thing, especially. But baseball, it's so like team. You know what I'm saying? So if there's no momentum and not anyone has hit, then it's like you can go down a really bad path pretty fast. And it wasn't. The pitchers aren't obviously, the worst pitchers ever. They're pretty good. And I think just focus on the positive, actually. Like, last night's game against the Giants, 14 innings.
Well, we'll get to that. But about the no-hitter, for me, look, this is an era of no-hitters. We've had 4 or 5 this year. We had a couple last year.
Right.
No-hitters used to come every few years. Now they're coming every couple months.
Which is nuts,
or faster. And so it's it's just...
And pitchers just learning, like, it's obvious, like, you learn as you go,
Yeah, well, we're in an era of pitching right now. We're in an era of dominant pitching.
Yeah.
Jake Arrieta is one of those. Mike Fiers is not, so that's kind of a one-off weird thing.
Yeah.
But 2 in 9 days is bizarre. I don't think you read anything into it.
I don't think so.
Jake Arrieta and Mike...
I think focus on the positive. Like, you're still up 4.5 games.
That's the thing.
It's don't focus on like what you're... Okay, whoops, we messed up. Get over it.
That's the thing. I will say though that it does matter for the Dodgers because they don't hit against good teams and good pitching sometimes. Right. And do you get in the playoffs? Are you going to get no hit again in the playoffs? Right. Probably not. The chances of that are very low. But are you gonna just have an offensive shutdown for 4 or 5 games in the playoffs and you need a win and you're going to get swept or something? Right. Maybe. And that's me being a huge pessimist, but maybe. That's my only concern because Jake Arrieta, you may not see Mike Fiers. The only way you see Mike Fiers in the playoffs is in the World Series because the Astros are in the AL, and he's probably not one of their top 3 starters, so you probably don't see him anyways. Right. Jake Arrieta, you will absolutely see again in the playoffs. Right. And you need to figure out how to hit a guy like that. Yeah, definitely. And I feel like if you're Gonzalez, or an awesome hitter on the Dodgers, you need to look at your team and be like, hey, you guys, and you need to step up to the plate, as it were, get that first hit. It's not, rocket science, maybe. it was rocket science Sunday night. Yeah. And tough for Alex Wood. Gives up 2 runs in the first inning, nothing else. Takes a tough loss. Kill the pitcher win in a case like that. Doesn't deserve a loss for that game. But that to me is a case of this is a playoff team in a playoff environment, Sunday night baseball, national television. Right. Everybody's tuning in if you're not watching the VMAs. And you can't come up with a hit. Now, the good thing about this, if we do look at the positive in that Sunday night game, Arrieta is very good, but you're going to face him in the playoffs. The positive to me is the bullpen again. Wood goes, 6 2/3 or something, 6 1/3. Bullpen comes up with a couple scoreless innings again, and they bend, but they don't break. The Dodgers allowed 13 hits on Sunday night, 2 runs. Didn't break, left a lot of guys stranded. So in the 9th inning, in the 8th, 9th inning, if somebody gets on base, if somebody gets hit by a pitch or walks, all of a sudden the tying run comes to play. You're in a ball game. So that to me is a positive. To keep it that low, and then, if that comes up again, okay, it's not like we need 7 runs, Yeah, if you're down, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Hit by a pitch or, Gonzalez or somebody who's gets that first single or first double, like last night, Yeah. And it starts the momentum. And then you just need 1 more run. You know? Yeah, that's 2 RBIs. And that's saying it didn't happen Sunday. That's unfortunate for the Cubs. If you're looking at this from a Chicago perspective, first no-hitter in ages for them. So that's a huge moment for them. I'm just kidding. That's a big moment for the Cubs. And it's a cool thing. And Jake Arrieta is a great pitcher. He deserves it. He's 17-6 this year. That's a phenomenal starter. My only problem is you're going to face him in the playoffs. You're going to see him again in October. So you better figure out how to hit him. It was funny though. I saw this meme and it was like, when the Cubs win 9 in a row and only gain 1 game on the Cardinals. Well, the NL Central's legit. The Dodgers are going to get the Pirates a lot this next month. I would totally rather play the Dodgers than the Giants any day. I think everybody would because the Dodgers have more weaknesses, at least right now. Holes, let's talk Monday's game, this wild game last night. 14 innings, Dodgers win 5-4 and a walk-off. Game of the year for a couple reasons, I think. Yeah. What do you think? Well, I think, both teams haven't seen a game like that since, I think the Giants was 2013, and then for the Dodgers it was at least a season, and you're playing every single player that you could possibly. Yeah. They ran out, I think in the 10th or 11th inning, the Dodgers did of their their bench. Their bench. Yeah. And so Kershaw has to come in and get it out, which that's all right. Yeah, that's a tough thing. Exactly. You're not pitching today, but you're gonna hit press. That's the National League. That's 25-man roster in the National League. Freaking crazy. You wish it would have happened September 1st when rosters expand because you could have used a full 40. Dodgers haven't pulled 15 guys up. They pulled a couple up today. They were saying I'll pull someone from next season. They would have loved that today because the full 40-man roster today would have helped them. Exactly. Couple notes I think why it's the game of the year. The first one is the Giants are the nemesis. Dodgers are 3-9 against them going into the game. You have to win that game. When you beat a team like the Giants, because they're in your division, you get a full game up. You don't get a half game. You get a full game up because they lose a game. Right. So that's huge to me. And the other thing is the bullpen. The bullpen last night, 9 innings, 7 hits, 2 walks, 1 run, 9 strikeouts. Yeah. If Kershaw had done that for a 9-inning complete game, you would have said that's vintage Kershaw. That's phenomenal. The bullpen did that last night. That's the bullpen. 9 innings, 1 run. You can't do any better. No, that's insane. And I understand that the 1 run that the Giants scored in the 8th, I guess it was, to tie the game. Right. But 9 innings, 1 run.
No.
You can't be mad about that.
And if you had any runs, game over, and you lose. So
yeah, it's
that's amazing.
Now it gets a little ridiculous at the end. I think Chris Hatcher, 3 innings, 4 strikeouts, probably his best game as a Dodger, which is saying something because he's had a terrible season for the Dodgers. But best game for him. They're playing again, obviously, right now. They just started.
Right.
But that to me is the game of the year for them so far.
And it was interesting because I saw that they're like, well, all the fans left. And they were like, it's kind of neat because you hear just like the buzz of, those people who stick it out. And they said it reminded them of minor leagues when they were in the minor leagues and like playing when it's just raw, it's not about money or anything. It's just about, dude.
It becomes goofy. 10th, 11th, you're in it, you're extra innings. Once you start hitting pitchers, once you start pinch hitting pitchers like Kershaw did, it gets ridiculous.
Yeah.
you can't take it seriously anymore. But at the end of the day, look, you wasted your entire bench, you wasted your entire bullpen.
They said 7 pitchers for the Dodgers.
Yeah, you emptied the bullpen.
Insane.
Hatcher's not going to be available today.
And
probably somebody else won't
play. You can't bring in your starters in the next games. Like those are.
Well, they almost got there. These teams would have had to bring the starting pitcher next. But this
they would have hated that.
So Hatcher is down for today, probably down for tomorrow after throwing 3 innings. That feels a lot better when you come away with the win for it than the loss. If you play 14, you waste your entire roster, and you lose like the Giants did, that's a tough pill to swallow. Winning cures all.
Dude, for sure. They were pretty pissed. I saw some comments. They're just like, how did that, how did that happen? That's like the worst scenario that could have happened.
That's a tough deal.
Yeah.
So that's kind of, to me, before we get into some questions, we can debate some stuff about this stuff with the Dodgers, but just to overview the week, 6-1 on the week plus a day because we're getting an extra day. Dodgers are 73-57 going into tonight. They've got the 4.5 game lead over San Francisco. You are not going to put it away this week. If you swept San Francisco in the next 2 days, you're not putting it away because San Francisco goes to Colorado next and they can easily sweep 4 in Colorado.
Easily.
You're not going to put it away, but you can gain enough ground where if you stumble,
2 more full games,
exactly
6.5.
If you stumble in the next 2-3 weeks, you can survive. If you lose these next 2 games, you might be in trouble. If you win at least one of them, you can survive a stumble.
If you win 2, that's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
And then that can give you momentum for the next series. Like, okay, we beat the Giants. Like, now we have to focus just like we did back in Cincinnati and the Cubs. And when other teams make errors, capitalize.
And the next series for the Dodgers is going to be San Diego Padres down at Petco, 4 games. The Padres are fading, but the Dodgers have some tough stuff coming up. They got a 10-game trip coming up, 4 in San Diego, 3 with the Angels, who are pretty decent, and 3 in Arizona. Arizona's much better than anybody thought. The Dodgers do real well against them, specifically in Dodger Stadium. I'm interested to see in Arizona how they're going to do.
That will be interesting.
And then they get Colorado, and then they get Pittsburgh after that. So good luck. Couple questions for you, Emily, couple things we can debate that I've kind of come up with.
Sure.
One thing to me, now that Chase Utley is there, Chase Utley and Jimmy Rollins have won World Series championships together. Does that make a difference to have both of them on the team right now?
I definitely think it does. It's just kind of like, you look at the Heat back in Miami and you have 2 people who have already, gotten rings. You definitely have that charisma, I feel like, and you know how to talk to the other players and like get them going get them amped up, but stay on the level where it's like, dude, we do this all year. It's not going to be any different. We're just going and get, 1 strike, 1 hit at a time.
I'll disagree with you. I'll play devil's advocate. I think if you had a young team, if you had a team like the Cubs, if you had a team like the Pirates, who have a lot of these young guys, the Pirates have these exciting young players. Andrew McCutchen is maybe the veteran, and he's never had a significant playoff run. Right. If you have these young teams that have never been there before, yes, Rollins and Utley would be huge, or guys like that would be huge.
Oh, that's interesting.
You have so many veterans on the Dodgers. I know you got a young guy, Jock's young, Kike Hernandez is new, Justin Turner's pretty new, guys like that. But you have so many veterans between Kershaw and Greinke and Gonzalez and Crawford and Ethier.
Yeah.
All those guys need to know what's going on. Now, do Rollins and Utley have a place? For sure. Can they fit in? Absolutely. But I think if
they've never been there before.
If the Dodgers were just bringing them on to say, well, we need a little World Series push. Well,
no,
you don't.
I don't think so.
Because you got 2 middle infielders who don't hit.
Right.
But that's I've been against the Utley trade since the moment it happened. So there is that. But I see the value in it. I just think for this team, the value is
like what they put already this season,
Yeah.
And it's not horrible.
Well, Jimmy Rollins hadn't done much this year.
Yeah.
Except for lately, he has. I got to give him a little bit of credit.
Yeah.
Question number 2 for you. Kike Hernandez is on the DL. Puig is already on the DL. How big a blow is it to lose Kike?
I don't think it's as big as Puig. I don't think it's... I mean, especially when you need those hitters, like you were saying, those home run guys, and you're like, well, we haven't gotten, we didn't have to win it on home runs, but sometimes you do. And especially when the playoffs come, you're going to have to win a lot more games, I feel like, on hits in your core than in the regular season.
Interesting. I'll disagree with you again.
Perfect.
I think Kike is not maybe the glue that holds the team together, but he's one of those weird high-energy guys that you need.
Right.
And the Dodgers lost Juan Uribe when they traded him. He was an energy guy. He was a locker room guy. He was a teammate. And Kike's kind of like that in the rally banana thing and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
He's kind of like that. And not only that, but he's playing multiple positions. Howie Kendrick is down at second base right now. Jock Peterson's been awful offensively, and they've been trying to take him out of center field. So Kike has been kind of floating between second and center and whatever else they need him to do. When you lose a super utility guy like that, it's tough to replace a super utility with one guy. You have to replace him with multiple players. Well, which multiple are you going to do?
How many games ago?
A couple games ago. He's on the 15-day DL.
Right.
So he's going to be on it for at least 2 weeks. If it's a hamstring, he might be on it a while.
Yeah, that's true.
It'd be Puig struggled with it all year. Kendrick's been on longer than 15 days now. That's a concern for me, and I think losing Kike is kind of losing that glue. The Dodgers get Chris Heisey. The Dodgers get Justin Ruggiano in trades this week. Both 4th, 5th outfielders. I guess I was kind of just
looking at the performances of the last 2 games and how the Dodgers have come ahead. And I don't know. I feel like they still have, like you were saying, they have so many veterans back on the team, and I feel like they have such a glue already. And it'll hurt to have Kike away, but I don't think it'll hurt him as bad as
I think they're going to miss him badly. I think they're going to miss him really. You need National League. You saw it last night. 14-inning games, a bit of a a bit of a bad example.
Right.
But when you were low on the bench, you need a guy who can do whatever. Yeah. You need a guy who can play 8 positions some days. That's the National League. And now that you lose that guy, I know roster's expanded. You can call up whoever you want. They're probably going to call up another outfielder. They should maybe call up a Corey Seager type of guy in the infield. But man, that's a bad loss for Kike. And he's just kind of that's one of those spark plugs. Related to that, Chris Heisey is back with the Dodgers in the trade for nothing, for a player to be named later. Justin Ruggiano is with the Dodgers for a player to be named later. Both of those trades, 4th, 5th outfielders. Why? Why?
Yeah, dude.
It doesn't. The Dodgers released Chris Heisey, 3 weeks ago? 4 weeks ago? It doesn't solve any problems for them. The problems have been in the bullpen. The bullpen's been good this week. But year-wide, the problems have been in the bullpen. The problem's been with the 4th and 5th starter. Matt Latos is not that guy. No. And Mike Bolsinger is up now. But the problems are not in the outfield. You've got a lot of guys. Even with Puig injured, you've got Ethier, Crawford, Van Slyke, and Jock Peterson. Right. That's okay for the top 4. You've got the Scott Schebler on your 40-man roster who can probably come up and be a 5th outfielder, let's be real. You don't need to go get Chris Heisey and Justin Ruggiano. You released Heisey for a reason. Now, they gave up nothing for either one of those guys. Player to be named later or cash is nothing. So the risk is low. I get it why you get those guys. Why you get those guys back. Yeah. But it just seems to me like priorities are a little out of whack.
Right, yeah. And would you want to just take a higher risk where maybe you do lose but gain a lot?
Well, and that's tough. I mean, the waiver trade deadline for August 31st. Right. July 31 is one deadline. Right. The waiver one on the 31st is who's going to clear waivers. Chris Heisey did it with the Blue Jays. Justin Ruggiano did it with the Mariners. Not everybody's... Carlos Gonzalez in Colorado is not going to clear waivers. Right. So you have to ask who you can get. So there is that.
And maybe they just knew that they weren't taking, a loss, like you said, and those were the 2 guys kind of up at this point, and they're like, well, we have to take someone, otherwise we don't do anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to give you a stat. I want you to tell me who this is, okay?
Okay. That's exciting.
Last 7 days, 25 innings pitched, 24 hits, 2 runs, 10 walks, 27 strikeouts.
And it's any team or just us?
The Dodgers. Who is that? Who is that with the Dodgers? 25. The big ones are 25 innings, 2 runs. Who is that?
Greinke.
No.
Kershaw.
No. The bullpen.
Wow.
The bullpen in the last 7 days.
That's not fair. I was going to be like, I thought you mean just one pitcher. That's not even fair. No, that's amazing. Well, wow. Good job, bullpen. You have the amazing stats of starting pitchers.
That's a phenomenal exciting. 7 days. Now,
yeah.
Small sample size.
That is amazing. And if you can keep that through the playoffs, holy.
Well, but there's my thing. Small sample size.
Yeah. That's
look who's down there.
Yeah.
Jim Johnson's still down there. Luis Avalon's still down. Like, let's be patient. But for a bullpen that's been so maligned for 4 months.
I was going to say that's been like nothing like that.
Yeah.
The whole start of the season through the middle of the season. Oh, this is a pretty good time to start getting those stats.
This is
the end of the time.
Yeah.
Okay, then let's keep it on a roll. Yeah. Actually, I was listening in an interview that Kershaw did actually, and he was like, "It's so weird because I go on the mound and I don't say, God, like help me win. I'm just like, God be with me." He said that, and he's like, I just need to focus on like, he's like, if you want it to go there, it's not going to go. So if you pick a spot and you're like, it's going to go there. And he's like, no, it won't. It'll just be wild. So you just have to like look at your catcher, pitch, and see what happens. That's what he said.
Well, that's
cool.
Kershaw's got unique talent to do that.
Exactly. And the training and technique to back it up.
Tonight, game's going on right now, but Greinke versus Bumgarner.
Right.
Playoff game tonight. Great atmosphere. I mean, how are you going to beat this at Dodger Stadium?
Dude. Do we know what it is right now?
Look it up. Yeah, check it right now.
Okay, yeah.
In the meantime, I will say this. Julio Urias is starting games at AAA Oklahoma City. I don't think he comes up when rosters expand. They've already expanded, but I don't think he comes up when Oklahoma City's season ends. He's not on the 40-man. They'd have to DFA somebody to put him on the 40-man. I guess they could do that. Or put somebody in the 60-day DL to put him on the 40-man. They could do that. I doubt
0-0, bottom of the second.
Which is what we expected with Greinke and Bumgarner.
Bumgarner. Dude, this is a playoff game.
It is. This is absolutely, you can see it in the playoffs. Absolutely.
This reminds me of our Cardinals versus the Giants last year, which was really bad. That's okay.
A couple more quick ones for you. Oh, to cap it on Urias before we go.
Yeah.
Urias, I think, is going to be up next season. 2016 is his year. Whether he starts the year in
couldn't
LA,
be that bad.
We'll see.
I mean, I don't know.
September call-ups. Who's coming? So far, we know Mike Bolsinger, Ian Thomas are in the bullpen. Bolsinger may get some starts. Austin Barnes, the third catcher. Every team calls up a third catcher when rosters expand because you always need a third catcher. Expect, I think, Josh Ravin, Joe Whelan, Daniel Coulomb to come up in the bullpen, and Scott Schebler, the fourth outfielder, to come up, only because those guys are on the 40-man. Yeah. Other than that, I don't know if anybody else of note is going to come up this September as a call-up. The Dodgers are in a weird place. So September call-ups work for bad teams because you can audition guys. You can say, hey, we don't care if we lose. Exactly. I want to see what you've got. Yeah. And there's 20 teams right now that are doing that.
That's kind of like what the Cubs did last year. You know what I'm saying? It's exactly what they did.
When you have young players like that, you want to audition these guys.
We don't need anything to keep.
You have nothing to lose.
You don't have anything to lose. And look, it's helped them so much this season.
Yeah.
I mean, this is their best season in probably like 10 years, I would think.
Yeah, or more than that.
Or more than that.
Although they were good in 03.
03, yeah. But this is... Yeah, but the Dodgers are a different team. They're not like that. So.
Well, and that's the thing. They're not losing. They have to win, and they need to keep winning. So you can't audition guys when you need to win.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you have to like pray to keep,
Yeah, and this isn't. Look at last year. Jock Peterson was a September.
But they have enough money to do that.
Oh, sure. But look at last year. Jock Peterson was a September call-up. Last season, got 38 at-bats, didn't do anything. But they were coasting at that point in September, and they could afford to do that.
Yeah.
Not so this year. Not the case at all.
No, yeah.
At least not yet. Now, maybe if they win, let's say they rip off
injuries too.
Yeah, well, that's true. But let's say they rip off, and this would be crazy, but let's say they rip off 5-6 more wins in a row. Yeah. Maybe you can do that a little bit. But assuming the Giants are going to stay competitive, which they will, they forget it. You got to play Pittsburgh, you got to play the Angels, you got to play the Diamondbacks, who aren't terrible.
Yeah.
Forget it. You're not going to be able to do that.
Yeah, these series coming up,
it's going to be a big week or big couple weeks.
Big couple weeks for sure. And then the Giants play, it's like opposite for them, kind of. Yeah, with the Rockies and
the Giants are going to get an easy schedule. Although the Dodgers get the Rockies a couple more times too. Last question for you. I'm going to open this up to our folks at home too. If you guys want to comment, tweet, do all that good stuff. Vin Scully announces he is going to come back next year for his 67th season. So it got me thinking, because Mike Conley and I have done this on Red Sox Rap 360. We had a big debate about this last week. Right. Who are the best local play-by-play guys in baseball?
Ooh,
so of the 30 local markets, Vin Scully,
right.
guys like that, who are the best?
Right.
Who are the worst? Who do you like the
Interesting.
best?
Well, this is not necessarily local, but I love Joe Buck. Yeah, and I think he gets it just from his dad. Maybe I just like him because of Jack Buck.
What do you think of Tim McCarver?
I like his energy. You don't like him at all?
He's terrible. Tim McCarver is one of the worst broadcasters ever.
Oh, wow.
Scully's one of mine. I looked through the National League West on this.
Yeah.
Okay, so I got to tell you the truth. I figured this out today. Between regular season, 2 or 3 games a day, spring training and playoffs, I watch about 500, maybe 550 baseball games a year.
Yeah, wow.
So I see a lot of these guys.
Yeah, right.
And I watch all these guys because I don't want to watch the local one. I don't want to watch just the Dodgers. As classic as Scully is, you want to see all these guys. A couple really good ones and a couple really bad ones.
I'll tell you the best.
What's your best?
Okay, Mike Shannon, for sure.
I knew you were going to say that.
You did?
Yeah, sure, because you think the Cardinals are the best.
No, but he's is he not? His voice is amazing.
No, there are a few other ones that are real good.
Yeah, and he's not about himself. Do you know what I'm saying? He's not ever.
Sure.
And he loves the game, and you can tell. It's like, it's natural for him, I feel like.
I'll give you, he's decent, but I'll give you a couple other ones that are real good.
Okay.
First, the real bad.
Let's go.
Kuiper and Kruko in San Francisco.
Maybe I
are
haven't listened to Tim, and I probably haven't.
Kuiper and Kruko in San Francisco are awful. The local guys in San Francisco are awful. Homers, the worst kind of homers. I run a site on the Colorado Rockies, and every time that the Giants lose to the Rockies, those two guys, every time, talk about how it's the humidor's fault or the Rockies are stealing signs. It's like, wait a second, dude. You have a great team. Yeah. You have the team of the decade this decade.
Right.
Just lose once. Lose with grace. Those two are awful.
Wow.
The Arizona guys are pretty bad.
I was going to say, it's kind of like Tony Dungy. The Rams were playing the Seahawks, and he's like, dang, did you see how amazing the Seahawks were? And it was 7-3. Like, are you serious?
The Diamondbacks guys are nothing special. Bob Brenly was in Chicago before. He's just kind of boring. Steve Berthium's okay. He's an ESPN guy, but they're just dry. Right. Colorado's guys are terrible. I'm a Rockies guy.
Did you think Tim's kind of dry? The first guy?
Tim McCarver? Yeah, he's worse than dry. He's terrible. He's awful. He's not a smart guy. But that's a national guy.
But that's interesting because sometimes people kind of just BS.
Oh, he's awful.
Yeah.
He's out of touch, and he's not even doing the games anymore, so he's irrelevant. Yeah. But he's out of touch. Arizona's guys are boring. Colorado's guys are real bad. Bad. The Rockies guys are real bad. Some of the best to me.
Okay.
A couple of the bad ones. The Nationals guys are pretty bad. The best to me are the Padres. Dick Enberg does play-by-play on the Padres.
That's so
Mark Grant and Mark Sweeney do color. They kind of alternate. The Padres guys are phenomenal. The Oakland A's broadcasters are top-notch. Absolutely top-notch.
It's amazing. Well, no. You know what is amazing is when you can work well. It's almost like they have ESP when they announce.
Well, they've done it a lot. Yeah. The Oakland A's guys are top-notch. Nationals are bad. I think I said that. Nationals, FP Santangelo's a terrible color guy. And then there's a couple. The Mets guys are pretty good. Ron Darling does color for the Mets. The Mets guys are decent. Yeah. My favorite that everybody loves to hate, and I kind of love to hate him, but I also love him, Hawk Harrelson. Chicago White Sox. He's the opposite of Dick Enberg. Dick Enberg is laid back, San Diego. Yeah, he's just, and Hawk Harrelson is no, not like that at all. Hawk Harrelson is South Side working class Chicago.
Wow, that's awesome.
I'm a sabermetrics guy. I'm a numbers guy. I like to quantify everything. Hawk is the opposite of that, and I kind of hate watch him because he's so ridiculous.
Oh yeah,
but I kind of like him. I love his passion. He's a total homer. He makes no bones about it.
Awesome.
He's. I know I'm going to get flack for that, and that's fine. But I really enjoy Hawk Harrelson because he's ridiculous. He's ridiculous, and I love him. Wow. But Vin Scully, I think, to wrap that up, is probably the toast of the crew. 67 years, 66 now, 67 next year, hopefully. You can't get any better. It doesn't get any better than Vin Scully doing the games alone. No one does that anymore. Teams have 3 broadcasters in now. No one's doing games alone anymore. Just absolutely a different era, a different world. the best.
The best.
But I'm telling you, the San Diego Padres guys are pretty close behind. The A's guys are real good. I've heard the Mariners guys a lot recently.
Yeah.
They're average.
Average.
Didn't do anything for me.
Not as bad as
not bad.
The Rockies.
Yeah, not bad, but they're average. The Rangers guys, not bad, average.
Wow.
But if I had to rank it top 3.
Yeah, let's do that.
If I had to do top 3, I would go Vin Scully. Vin Scully.
Not Mike Shannon
no,
at all?
not at all. He's
not at all, you? Not even a little?
No.
Weird.
Vin
not
Scully.
Even like a top half.
Well, top half maybe, but top half's like there's a bunch of average guys.
Okay,
there.
let's get your top 3. Then.
I would say top 3 is definitely Vin Scully up top.
Okay.
Dick Enberg, Mark Sweeney, and the Padres number 2, and
so
then
I'm
gonna
say the whole Padres.
Yeah.
The entire.
Well, yeah, the Padres team.
Right,
and then I'm going to put the A's broadcasters in 3rd. I really like the A's broadcasters.
So
I think they're
like
really smart.
More whenever it's like a whole team thing, kind of like they're your own team, like team of announcers.
Everybody's doing a team now.
Right,
Everybody does.
right.
Everybody does a couple of guys now. But that's my top 3. But I know yours is Mike Shannon. So
yes, yeah, and it's okay because it's just radio. You know what I'm saying? It's not like live or anything like that. But I mean on TV. But yeah, and you can't ever be like Jack Black like. Going, yeah.
Speaking of going, that's us this week. We're out of time.
Amazing.
Emily, where can they find you on Twitter?
Sure. On Twitter, you can find me at Emily Crodel, like Yodel, and on Instagram at Emily Crodel as well.
Awesome. I'm at Bobby Demure. Remember, we'll be back. If not this next week, the following one after Labor Day for more Dodger stuff.
We'll just say yay for National League,
That's it this week. Remember, hit subscribe on YouTube and iTunes for AfterBuzz. And you can always comment every week, all week. We keep checking the comments. We keep checking the tweets. So reach out to us, guys. We'll talk more Dodgers very soon with you here. Thanks for watching Dodgers Wrap 360. Guys. Good night.
Good night.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.